Hey there, everybody is.
What's going on?
Just kind of like a mad dash in. Just got out of the fire trustees meeting, so I was had to get
Yeah,
here
yeah,
from that. So yeah, so kind of a quick trip in here. So
yeah.
but
Welcome to the show, everyone. Yeah, I was kind of wondering. Like, I was sitting there and I was like, "We usually talk a couple minutes before you come on," and then the countdown started, and I was like, "Hopefully, he's on the other end waiting. If not, then I'm just going to be talking to myself for a few minutes."
well, that if there's something playing, I've got to be here because I got to trigger it. So yep. But
Hey,
no,
I
I
don't
had
know. You
a
could have had a timer.
yeah, I got a fire trustee meeting every second Tuesday of each month. So and it goes in from starts at 7 my time. And
Like
so
the
yeah, by the
rest of
time I
the
get
tribe.
done, yeah, fortunately, since it's a small town and I know all the cops and involved with EMS, I kind of like zip through, have the smart card zipping through the streets pretty quick there, and it just takes me a couple minutes to get back.
Yeah.
But got in
Took
and
the
ready to
smart
go.
car.
So yep, got the smart car out and
Cool.
just tooling around that. So, but
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
looking forward to tonight. So
Yeah, same here. You're loaded with all these questions that nobody is going to probably dare ask. So I'm probably going to be in the background, just kind of like letting everything just kind of soak in. I'll
coward,
pop in with a few things. What's that?
coward.
Well, my questions were kind of probably the stuff that she's used to having all the time, and but I do like when we start. I do have a question for her with something like an experience that maybe she might have some input on. You know what I mean?
That's cool.
Um, so yeah, once we get started, maybe I can ask her that and kind of go from there. But you have an event coming up in a few weeks.
Yep. Yeah, we got the Unity Day here at the theater for Lost Limbs
Yeah.
Foundation, and it's sold out. It usually sells out about 11:30 the day of the event for the following year. So
Yep.
we'll start selling tickets about 11:30 for 2023, and by 5 o'clock on the 5th of February, it'll be sold out and
Yep.
or real close to it. But we're gonna do a few things different next year, so it'll be a little different. Just a couple things,
Okay.
which we'll announce that day, since
Yeah.
nobody knows about it right now anyway, other than
Okay.
myself and probably one or two other people. That's about it.
I
So,
don't even
but
know about it. So
that's right, you don't. So,
yeah,
and
I'm clueless.
but that would happen beforehand. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
but
Yep.
yep, so it'll be good. I think it's going to work out pretty well. It'll be a lot of fun. It gives us a chance to do some more things, and but I'm kind of looking forward to next year and making the changes and making it happen. So
Yeah.
you guys been keeping busy there at Rhodes, haven't you?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's been a little bit slower, but yeah, we've had some bookings and stuff here. So if anybody's interested, roadshotel.com. We're pretty open. You can get some dates in. So yeah, call and or email Crystal and get a hold of her and get those bookings in. So yeah, it's a little bit. There's some openings and stuff right now. So um, one other thing I was going to mention too, like speaking of the event, that you got coming up, at the theater, there has been a few posts on, like, I shared your post for the event on the charity page, and scammers are out big time. So I wanted to mention now, I've tried, like, sometimes it's hard to keep up with the notifications and stuff, but I've been trying to go on to the page and watch, because there's people that are advertising, as we've had this issue before with like the public investigations here, and like you had it even at Ashmore, I think, before
Right.
too, that people are saying, "Oh, I've got 4 tickets to this. If you want to buy them, contact me." And I keep there's one of them I kept deleting and deleting and deleting, and then finally I was just like, they kept posting, and I was like, forget it, blocked. So I just took them completely out and blocked them. So,
Yep. There you go.
but yeah, so I just wanted to mention that. So if anybody runs across that where people have tickets for sale, contact Robbin, because he would know
They're
if
not for
anybody
sale.
actually. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Is like, if they're, you would know if they're legit, if somebody's actually trying to get rid of tickets
Right.
legit. So yeah, if you see any of that pop up and you're wanting to get a ticket or something, you need to contact Robin and make sure everything's legit before you go far enough to pay someone money that's possibly trying to scam you.
Yeah, and those tickets we sell for $15 we donate it to Lost Limbs Foundation. And the people that they let me know if they're not going to be there, and they just say just keep the money
Yeah.
and sell the ticket to somebody else, and then there's just more money for the charity. So if somebody's out there offering for sale, I can pretty much 99.99% guarantee you that it's a scam. And
Yep.
we've seen that happen a lot. In fact, we have an event scheduled. There was an event scheduled for Memorial Day weekend at Ashmore, and it's been canceled. The group that was coming out there is also the group that put on the Vegas Parent Unity Day, and I canceled the event and refunded his money to him, but he still has it up. I don't think he has it up for tickets are up for sale, but they still got it up. So if you see tickets available for that Memorial Day weekend, don't buy them because it's not going to happen. And so just stay away from that. But we've had a few people that are booking investigations. We have one coming up this Thursday night and Saturday night and next Saturday night at Ashmore Estates. And there's only one thing I can say about that is it's cold. I was in there Saturday with a group that came out and did they were doing a training. We were there for 4 hours. It was 22 degrees inside the building. And
Wow.
it's not going to get any better. And
No.
anybody that books it, like right now, I tell them there's no heat in the building. Keep that in mind, which means there's no water. There's a portable toilet outside, but you may want to think about this and come in the spring. And I'm like, oh no, we love investigate during the cold months. So like, okay, so well, I can guarantee you're going to get your wish. So
Yeah, it's been freezing. I mean, it's been really cold even here. I've been hibernating because the temperatures are so crazy. I mean, to get out, and my issue on crutches, it rains, snows, whatever, then I go outside, I slip, fall, bust my butt and complain about it for the next few days and
yep.
stay inside. So yeah, so I
Crystal's
just
home
stay
shaking her
inside.
head yes right now. So
Hmm. Yeah, she's not in bed and she's tuning in. She's just like, "Yep, agreed," because he'll call after he falls and says, "I fell, I slipped outside," and yeah, you're right, I do. I complain about it for a day and then it kind of goes away, and then yeah, so it's just easier if I just stay in and don't do anything. Yeah,
but but yeah, thanks for everybody's joining us there. And
yeah,
we're let's just bring Jessica in.
yeah.
I
Sounds
think
good.
I look in there, I can see her in there. She's awake. Okay, she hadn't fell asleep or anything like that. So
Yeah.
yep, she's awake. And just before I bring Jessica in, I just want to say that I have talked to her and told her that I wanted to ask some different questions of her, because I've known Jessica for a couple of years anyway, and we've always had a pretty good relationship. And so I felt like I could ask her some things that a lot of people would not want to ask a lot of psychics, so medium. So, and if I tick her off with questions, she'll let me know. And so, but I probably won't make her mad because she enjoys the harassment anyway. So that let's bring Jessica in here anyway and get her in here.
Sounds
She'll add
good.
a lot of good looks to this group right now. So there she is.
Hi.
Hey there, how are you
Hey.
doing?
Good. I was worried I was doing something wrong. I was like, hey, it says I'm in the background, but okay, good. As long
We
as
can
I
it's
was
see
too. Yeah, I was too. Because like what I was just saying, which you probably heard. It's like usually a couple of minutes prior to the show, we talk, and then like the countdown's going up, and I'm like, I hope when it gets down to one, Robin's gonna pop up on the screen
Yeah.
magically. Otherwise, I'd be sitting here like it's gonna be going off.
Yeah, and I got this new computer, so I'm still learning how to use it. And I didn't know it puts a frame around like when you're messing with camera settings. So I was trying to adjust the lighting, and like I got an all-in-one desktop type thing. So I'm still trying to figure out. So it blocked out everything. It was just a blank screen. So I'm like, okay, I'm not sure if I'm doing it right. But then when I messed with that, made it go away. I could see other settings. I was like, okay, it's not
You
me.
got it.
Okay.
Yeah, so I have two sets of Bluetooth headphones that I threw them in real quick, and I got here. And it was all set up. I made sure everything was working before I left, and the headphones aren't working. So I'm like, crap. And so then I look, I'm like, it shows they're connected. I'm like, oh, wait a minute, it's showing both of them are connected. So I grabbed the other set. I'm like, okay, this one's working now. So just go with that one. So it's like always something.
Yeah. I think it's just anyone surrounded by spirits. It's always weird electrical stuff, especially for me. Like I can't hold on to a laptop more than 3 years. It's like I start telling myself, oh, maybe this one won't crash, but nope. And it's super frustrating when it does. Hate that. And learning something new.
Always.
Yeah, I'm open for all questions tonight. It takes a lot to trigger me. So anything, everything, as weird as it is.
Challenge accepted.
Yeah, I heard you got a list. I'm like, oh man, here we go.
Robin's like, all right, I'm in, and I'm sitting here looking. It's like I'm probably going to ask her things that she's been asked like 100 times probably today.
But that's
except
okay.
for one. Except for one, I do have one question I need to throw at you, like something that's kind of off. I don't know.
That's okay. I'm open for anything. I think the more people learn about it and understand it, the more like they can see things realistically, because there's too much fake stuff on TV and movies, and so yeah.
Well, let's just start with just a little bit, just give us a little history of yourself and, how long you've been doing this and things like that. The typical early on questions.
Okay. So I think I'm about to reach 6 years. So growing up, I've always had weird experiences. I would see orbs. I would get weird sensations. Sometimes churches would make me really emotional. And I grew up in a Christian household, so I didn't explore too much outside that religion. The first big mediumship experience I can remember is when I was 13. We were visiting family in South Carolina, and I had an uncle have a heart attack and die. He was at home when my cousin called us on the car phone, if you remember that. But I heard him, like at the time of his passing, his voice in my head tell me word for word, tell this cousin this, his children. He had 3 of them. Tell him this one, this, and this. Tell your aunt this, and this, and this. So my mom's family is like Southern Baptist. So when I told them, my cousin knew right away. He was like, yeah, that's my dad. That's exactly what he would tell me. But, the rest of the family was like, say you were praying when it came to you and all that. I thought I just had that experience because I thought everyone kind of had that with family and that was normal. So I didn't explore it too much till I had my daughter start having experiences. At the same time, an ex that I was friends with pass away, and I started just having all sorts of weird activity, getting told things, and then they would come true about like his stuff and his mom going through his things and stuff like that. And then she'd post on Facebook. So kept it to myself. I journaled it a lot. I just write down the weird things, and they would slowly come out. And then that's when I was like, hey, I'm really going to explore what this is, because my daughter will physically see them where I more felt them or would see orbs. So she was terrified, of course. So yeah, I kind of just got into learning about it, and since then just kind of taken off, and now a lot more of my life makes sense and why things have worked out the way that they have. And yeah, so I enjoy doing it. So that's pretty much my background of how I got into this.
Now you've been traveling quite a bit, doing a lot of different places, doing a lot of seminars and readings and things like that too, as well, haven't you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love traveling, and then I love the more like I can reach people. The work itself, I love. There's a lot of outside stuff that's exhausting about getting out and traveling, but the work itself, it just inspires me to understand it more. And like I'm still learning things and how things work and processing things, but it's always been an interest of mine how the paranormal works. And so yeah, every opportunity I can, I say yes and just go for it, because I learn something from every single thing, every single reading, every single person I connect to. So it just fuels that drive even more to understand it.
Mike, you want to pop that question in before you forget about it? Because I know how you are.
No, actually, I got it written down here, so I won't. Yeah.
After last week, you decided to write it down, huh?
It's added on there. So yeah, this one's kind of different. I don't know. Maybe it's kind of goofy to you. I don't know, but this has happened twice to me, and this is I haven't told hardly anybody about this, but I thought, you know what, tonight might be a good night to just bring it up and get your thoughts and stuff on it. And just so everybody knows, this is prior to being here at Rhodes Hotel. A lot of people know I stay here this was else when I lived elsewhere. But I had a couple dreams that, the whole sleep paralysis thing. Both times it was a dark figure that I couldn't make anything out. All I can see is arms coming at me. I'm pinned down. I'm pinned down. I can't do anything. I can't move, whatever. And it feels like maybe in my sleep, I'm like struggling to wake myself up. Like, maybe I'm tossing, turning. I don't know. Maybe it's the dream. You know what I mean? I don't know if it's which is which. But it's been odd. I mean, that happens, and I can't see anything other than just the shadow and stuff. And then finally I managed to wake myself up, and then I'm freaked out, and I'm just like, what was that all about?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just curious if you've ran across people that have maybe had that same experiences and what your input is on it and what might be going on.
Yeah. So I know Robbin's met my sister. I'm not sure if you met my sister, but she's also a medium, but she hates it. And she'd never tell anybody that because she's had that experience. She always makes joke that I get all the pretty butterflies and rainbows, and she gets like hell, like a clear vision because she's had that happen quite a bit. And when we were kids, like I would get nightmares, but mine, I never had the sleep paralysis. And that's something I still try to study and understand because there's not much out there on it. Like, they talk about, like, scientists talk about like your brain paralyzes your body and it's a connection or disconnect there. I don't feel that because of what I've seen my sister go through with it. There was also a close friend I have that's a police officer. He's like one of the toughest people I know, mentally strong. He's dealt with a lot of trauma and all sorts of stuff. His dad had it, and his dad ended up committing suicide. And when I met him, his wife had died. So we were, I'm giving a reading over that, and nothing got to him till he came to that question. And then he got so choked up, he tried to back out of it. And he was like, never mind, I don't want to talk about it, because he felt like even talking about opens it up. My sister's the same way. She feels like it can bring it on more. And he said that there's nothing in his life that's ever terrified him like that experience, because it's so different, and it's not something you can talk to people about. He said, the people he did try to talk to about kind of laughed it off, and they're like, oh, you're just sleeping, it's a nightmare. And he's like, no, when you can physically feel them and everything in your room is the same, because that's what he's very particular about how he sets up his TV and bed, and he said everything, he knows there's something more going on. So then I started researching and reading into it, and one lady I came across helps people that go through it through therapy. And she said there's a lot with like saying Jesus Christ's name that has power and energy that comes in, even if it's not your religion. He's not very religious. So I said, maybe just try saying Jesus Christ, because he said he'll start praying and everything. And his were really vivid. He would see the face, and he said, sometimes felt like it went on for 10 minutes, even if it was only like 2. He would start to see it for him in his room and come in through like his porch, which was connected to his master bedroom. And then, he said it was just horrible. But when I told him to try that to see if it makes a difference, he said for the first time ever, he was able to fight back. And he grabbed it by the neck because he was paralyzed even in like his dream state, and he was able to grab by neck, and it blew him away. He's like, I've never been able to move or fight back. And then he woke up. Last time I talked to him, I think that was the last time he had that experience, but it's something he has like on a regular basis, happened quite a bit. But the more I study it and look into it, I feel like there's multiple things going on. I'm a real light sleeper myself. Every little thing wakes me up. I'm one of those that it can be 2 degrees outside, and I'm sleeping with like 5 fans on and like bundled up under blankets, because I cut out as much noise as I can. My experience is I just more hear them talking to me or wake me up, or I'll hear like a gunshot or something like that and think that it actually happened. But I've learned that the more I look into it, those people tend to be, so you might tend to be like one that travels through the astral lot. Without dragging this on too long, I feel like there's like multiple layers to this world energetically. And some people just when they dream really deep and they're connecting to all sorts of beings and creatures stuff. So I feel like there's something where it's like an opening or opportunity that one might be drawn to you. So I feel like it's a mixture of the spiritual as well as the physical with your body being, unable to move. But I feel like there's beings out there that take advantage of that to create more fear, and then they get fueled by it. Like my sister, her experience is the more, and she's really fearful around all this. She can't read about it. If the sun's even starting to set, you can't talk about anything paranormal because she said it triggers it more and more. After she had her daughter, when her daughter was a newborn, she was so fearful of it happening that every single day they were having stuff happen. She was going through DVDs of any horror movies they had and burning them on the back porch. She was like, I don't even care if I look crazy. I don't know what's bringing it on. But there is like a fear element to it where I think it can draw it back in. So maybe you're able to overcome it fear-wise and look at it more, I don't know, logically, something when you're awake that wasn't. But that's the best I learned. And like I said, this is a subject that I'm still, sorry, got choked up. I'm still trying to learn and understand because there's so much to it. There's not much out there when you try to read about, understand it. Mm-hmm. Everybody's experiences varies so much too with details. So.
That's one of the other things with that too that I forgot to mention. That and it reminded me when you were got to one of the other parts of that is I'm not able to talk either.
Mm-hmm.
He
had the same thing.
So I couldn't.
I said in your head. I told him to say it in your head because he wasn't able to talk either.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good to know. I appreciate that.
Yeah. So hopefully, if it does happen again, hopefully not. You can try with that.
Yeah, we've had a couple people that had some experiences like that as well.
Yeah. Same with me. I can't talk. I can't move. Can't do anything. But yeah, I mean, I'm able. Same as Heather. I mean, I can look around. I can see what's around me and all that stuff. But the figures look right in my face. But I can't talk. I can't do anything. So
yeah,
interesting.
Yeah, it is a hard. It's I haven't exactly discovered what to do with that area, and because I haven't had that experience myself, I haven't been able to consider find what works if anything does work. I've had experiences where I've woken up to actually thinking somebody was in my house. I pulled a gun on I don't know how many spirits because I will hear the footsteps. I will hear the door. I will think they're right around the corner. And everything in my room looks exactly the same, but it's not quite sleep paralysis. But then I'll come to and realize, okay, the house is quiet, everything's same, nobody got in, So I've just had to find little ways to work on praying and making sure I'm set boundaries there. I sleep with a salt lamp next to me. That has seemed to help too. With also a lot of spirits will come to me at night too and try to talk to me or get my attention. And when I'm off, and especially when I'm trying to sleep, it's I try and set boundaries because it would just be constant and then I would just lose my mind. So that's the best way I've learned to deal with that. So, but I think there's some sort of connection to the astral that just opens up like a doorway when we're sleeping and we're kind of in between in the spirit world.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I kind of have a list of them here for you, but
it's all you, Robbin. Start popping.
So now it's a small list. It's it's only so it's not a big deal.
A small list.
It's a small list. So, but now just some stuff I had questions about because a lot of times I see people doing these investigations or doing it at the investigations, and I just I chuckle to myself. Because I'm so skeptical of some of this, and it just doesn't make any sense to me, and how it works or how it can work, and maybe it works for you, maybe it works for somebody else, maybe it doesn't work for you, and that's okay too. But there's a lot of people when they see do investigations, they'll do a prayer first before they go in to protect themselves, and then when they come out, then they're doing something else to tell the spirits of the building or location, you can't go with me. I don't understand why if you're going to do a prayer to begin with, that you don't want anything to come to you or something, it's like, how are you going to investigate? And then when they exit, when they're like, oh, you got to stay here, I don't understand how a spirit could sit there and say, damn, if he wouldn't have told me I was had to stay here, I would have been able to jump in and go with him. It's like, can you have that much control over a spirit at a location and say, oh no, you've got to stay. You can't come with me. And it's like, oh, because I look, I'm saying, oh yeah, watch this. And just, he kind of walks right in and goes. So let me know how do you do investigations before and after? And what do you think as far as doing that stuff?
Yeah, that's a good question. So before I go in, sometimes I just start picking up on things like 2 days before, and I just kind of go with it. Before I go in, I try and protect myself. Honestly, I'm really bad about that. But I more set the intention of just going in with an open mind. I don't ever say, don't come talk to me, because that's why you're there. But I feel like some people that maybe have come from a religious background or come being taught by their family, this is evil, don't open up to this, you're letting the devil in. That's where they're stepping in with a place of fear. So they might have learned along the way that that's a way that they feel protection. I feel like attention is really important with it. So I do it more for the intention of, helping me get in, learn something, connect to spirits. And then I more want to bring through their stories versus history. But that's my intention. But others may be coming there from a fearful place or have that in them, and it's something that they've done. So that's where I'm kind of like, to each their own with everyone. But wrapping up, I do close it out, because the times that I haven't said, you got to stay here, I'll come back and talk to you, I have had where they just will not leave me alone. Like they'll show up at my house and start trying to talk to me, or their energy is just nasty, and they're trying to stir up fear. So I've learned to kind of set my foot down like that, with that intention. If I do have sage, I do use sage and do like the balm on my feet, and just imagine it's like not leaving an opening for them to come pull on me, because I can feel when they're around. Most of the time I ignore them, but at home I want that place to be sacred, because I'm doing my readings here and all that, and I don't want to just keep packing in. But I'm also like the dumbest medium there is, because I collect things places I go to. I have like like my places I lived in Germany. I'm like, oh, it's pretty rock. And actually went to this last year in Antietam battlefield, where the bloodiest battle. And there was like cornfield right in the middle of like where the bloodiest battle went down, like the shortest battle there was on US soil. And there's this pretty rock, and like my friend was like, don't even take it, Jessica, don't even take it. It was like the only rock around. I was like, it wants me, but I actually love that one there. I was like, yeah, I'm not opening up, but that's why I do it. So I feel like that's kind of different for everyone, but I'm not going in like, stop, halt, you can't talk to me. Because you can't control spirits, same as like living people, but you can control like your boundaries and your energy. Like when I get in a car to leave, by me saying that. And that's why I try and talk to them like they are living people. Some people will be like, you cannot follow me. I release the negativity of this site and all that. Me personally, I'm more like talk to them like they're a living person. Like, hey, I enjoyed talking to you. Thank you for sharing your experience with me, but I will be back to visit, but that doesn't mean you can come just pop in my house whenever. So that's my mindset.
You did mention though that you have some spirits that came to your house, so it's kind of like somewhat, maybe I don't say prove my point, but I just I don't understand how anybody can really feel that comfortable. Maybe it's mind over matter more than anything, in that it's like, okay, you can't follow me home, you can't go with me, and how they can't sit there and say how spirits in a location can say, oh man, I was so going home with her if she wouldn't have said that. So it's like, that's what I don't understand. It's like, in my own little pea brain mind, that's very non-sensitive, how you can tell a spirit, nope, you can't come home with me. And they're like, oh, okay, I won't. So.
Yeah. I think it's more for like, my intention of the whole thing. Like I said, I try to talk to them like they're a living person, but then I also have boundaries. And if you cross that, I'm going to get more aggressive with you. So it's my way of putting that intention out there that, but yeah, they do still come back to the house sometimes and hang out, especially more aggressive ones. There was a Civil War commander, Forrest, and I investigated this. It was a plantation house with the battlefield, with the slave graveyard, slave cabins, all of it still together. They normally don't open up for paranormal investigations, but because of COVID, they did have one. So my friends had me come out there, read it. And I remember, and you guys can look up, I actually call him Forrest Effer, no joke. That's the nickname I gave him because he was a piece of crap. He did horrible war crimes, but he tried to come back to the house with me and intimidate me. And what's weird is like I live on land where natives used to live, and the natives started warning me. Like I was bringing the trash back down and a native jumped out of the tree, and I was like, whoa. Like first I thought it was a living person. I realized like I could see through him. But they said that he was trying to like build up energy on metals so he could come back, like create more of his energy in the house to come back. That night was just really, that was probably the worst experience I had with one following me back. But he was mad because I went to the slave graveyard. He was saying white women aren't allowed back here. What are you doing? And I was like, oh, I'm just here to talk and ask some questions. But he was so mad about that. Like it was something like he felt like he was paying me back for that. So he still came around, but I just put my foot down and I make it like, I make my home as happy as I can. Me and my husband are very goofy. My kids are very happy. Like I make that number one. So like, if they're coming here to torment me, you're coming my happy bubble and you're just going to get driven nuts. You're going to go out. I even have like a music playlist called Jesus Jams, like from when I was in worship and went to church and all that. And I just try and make an environment that they can't stand to be around. You're not going to stir up fear in me, but that's me. And I'm just more aggressive person. But I feel like it's just me saying, hey, like that was cool talking to you, but see you later, catch you later type of thing.
Next thing on my list is crossing spirits over. I had somebody came to me, it's been a few years back, and said, there's a spirit in your building here at Ashmore Estates that wants to cross over. And he's like, do you have a problem if I help him cross over? I'm like, yeah, that's fine. Go ahead. Because I personally don't know how we as the living can help somebody that's passed away know where they're supposed to go. And I just have a problem trying to figure that out. But how do you feel about crossing over, and how does it work? If it does work, how does it work?
This is one like I absolutely agree with you. And
oh darn, it takes all the fun out of things.
Yeah, like so some people like don't understand. They're like, how can you be a medium and still be skeptical on these things? And I just tell, for everyone, it's a personal experience. Everyone's mediumship is different. So like where people are like, I want to be a medium like this and be able to throw out names, that might not be your area. So I'm respectful to that and can understand it. But my experience, and it could be my mindset, could be my upbringing. I feel like, like who are we, the living, who don't remember what it's like to be dead, if you believe in reincarnation, on that, somehow put in this position where we would be able to help that, but all these angels, all these beings, all these ancestors, all these ones on the other side can't help that. Somehow we would know more about how to help them get there. I can tell the difference. I do know there are ones that choose to remain earthbound. I more can tell through them because they carry more emotions. Like they'll still be mad over a petty fight they have with their brother. They'll be upset about this and that. Where ones that are more crossover come to visit, they're like, who cares about that crap, So I can tell the difference, but I feel like that's more like their path in a weird way. Like angels and guides, or whatever you want to call them, are more going to help them through. There's some reason why they hadn't crossed over, but that's not my responsibility. So I listen to your stories. I listen what they're upset about, and I'll convey that, but I don't feel like I'm somehow going to open up a light for them to cross into. And that's just me personally. I know some mediums out there are probably like, what the hell? Like, but I actually have heard, over and over and over again. I don't get to watch TV much, so I DVR stuff, but me taking time off for vacation, I finally watched Ghost Whisperer for years traveling. Everyone's like, oh, you hadn't seen it? You hadn't seen it? I couldn't even make it through the 3rd episode. Every single episode is about her helping a spirit cross over. And I think the 2nd episode, there's a little boy gets hit by a train, and she's telling the mom, you have to let him go or he won't go into the light, and he needs to go. He no longer has a place here. And I'm like, I can't imagine sitting down with a client and telling him, you got to let your child go. Like, yeah, he's already died. He's stuck in this place. And if you don't get over it, like, but to me, it doesn't work like that. That has not been my experience. They haven't told me they're trapped. I get some that are confused if they died of a drug overdose or they were caught off guard, like a car accident. But I've never had one tell me I'm stuck here. Most of the time, they're like wanting me to learn about either something that was written wrong in history, or they're just popping in because they're curious, or, hey, there's a lot more others here, in and out. But I've never felt any responsibility like I can somehow help them with crossing over.
I've had mediums or psychics, however you want to term it, but I've had them at a location sit there and say, well, there's so-and-so here, and I'm going to let them know it's okay to cross over. I kind of buy into that, but I think that's more for the person that's here on Earthbound, just to let them know that, and that they're going to tell them that they can cross. It's okay to go, that you're going to be okay. I think it's like like you were talking about, maybe like the son staying back with the mom, because he doesn't want to leave his mom yet, or it may be more of a parent staying home with their kid that doesn't want to leave yet. But, I think that I've heard people say they're going to do that, and it kind of makes sense to me, but I think sometimes that may be more soothing for the Earthbound people.
Well, and that's where I kind of have different beliefs too. Like every child, because I work missing person and cold cases too. So there are a lot with children, and they're very emotional cases because of that fact where it's a child and you can't believe the details of what happened to that child. But I've had the child come through to me like, that wasn't my experience. I don't remember this. Like I remember one case the kid showed me where they were driving him into the woods to kill him, and an angel appeared outside his window and said, come with me. And like he pulled up and went with them. So he didn't go through the rest of it. It was blocked from him, and he didn't remember the details of what happened. So I feel like with children, it's even more protection where they're going to be directed and led, and they're going to bring in their loved ones and comfort one. There's also a lot about your religion, your upbringing, and what you're comfortable with. If you read near-death experiences, it's fascinating. Like Jewish people believe in like a blue light or a blue ring or something like that. And then other religions, they'll have more things catered around like their beliefs. So it is like a comforting transition. But you're still going to have those ones that want to stay closer to Earth because they feel like, well, I wasn't ready to die. Like, screw that. Yeah, I'll go to that when I'm ready. So that's kind of my experience of how I see it too. It's like, I feel, and once they are over in the light, I've had them come back down and visit all the time. Because going into this, because of being Christian upbringing, I always thought once they're in the light, they can't come back and visit because that's how heaven is. In heaven, you're not supposed to talk to dead people. But I've had them pop in around. So I'd be like, I don't know, if I need to do something to have you move on. But sometimes they just want to pop in and say hi. They'll come in around the holidays, show you they're there, and mess with stuff. It's not, it's black and white. Everyone tries to make it out black and white. I think there's so much to it. We'll never fully understand it till we're on the other side.
Yep, that's what I've always said. I said, there's the only thing you're going to know is once you get there, you'll figure it out. But in fact, people have asked me that before. I'm like, there are experts in the paranormal. We just haven't crossed over yet to be.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So,
that's how I feel too. It's like, and everybody's experience is different. Your death experience is going to be different from somebody else's. So, yeah, even that's like fascinating. Think about like how it's going to work when we are on the other side.
I kind of hope there's
no, go ahead, Mike.
I was just going to say, I kind of hope there's that choice, of like being around, because like if I'm given that choice, I would be the one that would be like, I want to hang for a while because I would be the one that would take the keys off the table and be like, I want to go up to the attic and just send them over here and see how long it takes them to find them.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
But I feel like people that are crossed all the way over can still do that stuff. I know they can, because I've had too many experiences like that. Like we have like a little remote to our fan and light master bedroom, and it has like a little spot on the wall, but I always have it on my nightstand because when I'm sleeping, like I'll want to turn the fan up or turn it down or whatever. So it's never on the hook. And we couldn't find it. We were like tearing apart, like taking off our sheets, our covers, like looking for it, then getting dropped on the floor and everything. And we found it over on the hook. And then our TV downstairs, the remote went missing. And so we went digging around downstairs. We finally are like, okay, we have the same TV upstairs. We'll just bring down that remote, and we moved the couch, dumped it over, couldn't find it. And then 3 nights later, we went to go to bed and it was on my husband's nightstand. We're like, how? And I'm like, did you carry that one back up? And he's like, no. And we checked that area. Like we even checked to see if not thinking about, we carried it upstairs, but yeah, they're sorry, did not drink enough water today. They're always messing with stuff in our house like that. So, and I don't feel like it's just earthbound. It could be, but again, that's one of those things I don't know.
One thing that I have no idea how this actually works, and so I'm hoping you can tell me how it does, but is salt. Because I've always talked to people, they're always like, we're gonna put salt in front of the door entrances and things like that. I was at an Ashmore, it's been a few months ago, and somebody actually had poured salt all the way around their car, and I so thought I should go over and kick the salt and put like handprints on the door handle or something.
Like scrambling to get out.
So like I was trying to get in or something like that. I was going to ride home with them, but I didn't. So
you drag somebody through it. They're all.
So how does this salt supposedly work, or if it does it? And who decided that salt was it? Why not pepper? I mean, why was it salt?
So I actually looked into that as well, because that was one thing I was trying to understand. And like, how there's all the sayings about throwing salt over your shoulder, pinch of salt, and like there's a lot of historical stuff behind salt. And so I read, I went down that rabbit hole because my ADD was like, what? This is interesting. But I found all sorts of stuff where salt was always seen as a really pure and big blessing, because it was like such a big discovery, and it was always looked at as something sacred and a blessing when they would find salt when they were mining. I think it even goes back to Egyptian times. So it became like at one point where most of the time the rich and the ones that had money had salt. So it was something that was like very valuable to them. And then since through different, time periods and stuff, it was then used in different things as a blessing, something. So again, like what I was telling Mike about, Jesus Christ and how the name like carries that power. I think there's that energy that kind of gets put on it because it was looked at with value for so long, if that makes sense. That's my understanding of it. And then salt lamps, it not only has that, but it also has where that's been proven scientifically to remove negative ions in the air, which affect us in our anxiety levels, and it has a calming effect on you if you're using the right light bulb. And that's important too. You're not supposed to use LED light bulb with those because it's something with the heat and when that's released in the salt, as well as all the properties that it has on our body with helping our pain and swelling and things like that. God, I keep losing my voice today. One thing I love.
Brandy Kristen was on with us a couple weeks ago, and she actually got salt caves in a shop that she does, and that you can go in there and kind of de-stress and all that stuff. One of these things I'm gonna have to go in there, being skeptical as I am with that stuff. Still open-minded but skeptical. Like one of these days I'll have to go in there and try it and see if it works. But yeah, well, I'm not sure. I'm still the jury's out with me still on the salt stuff. It's like, yeah, I just don't see how that can make a difference with things.
I've been to the one in Asheville, and I took my husband with me, and I was like, it's cool. I noticed a difference, but I have different experiences than my husband. Like, he was like, I just don't get that stuff. So he took a nap, and he was like, it was just like visiting a spa and taking a nap. So that was his experience. I can more feel like calming stuff and I get visions and stuff like that. So I enjoyed like meditating, but he just knocked out and started snoring like as soon as they had the lights, because there's like the waterfall and he was like, I just don't get stuff. So we just kind of look at like my antennas are just more sensitive and open to stuff, where to him it's like you turn the lights out and nothing's happening, he's going to take a nap.
I can see Dave doing that. So
all the time, even with like, it got to a point where I wouldn't even take him on ghost hunts anymore because it was just embarrassing. Like he was just like, as soon as the lights go out, because he's military, so he's used to just lights out. He's like a bird. He's like, nap time. Somebody was like, is somebody snoring? And I was like, yeah, I hear it too. And then I realized it was David, and I elbowed him. He's like, what? And I'm like, babe, you're snoring. He's like, no, I wasn't. And everybody had the headphones on. I was being loud, and everyone was like, yeah, you were. And he was like, was I? My bad. And then like 10 minutes later, he was like, all right, I gotta get up, go walk around. He was like, you turn out the lights, and he was like, nothing's happening, everybody's quiet, I gotta go walk around. The only place he's ever stayed awake for was, I think, a jail. And I was like, anybody seen him? So I'm thinking he went outside to like, not bug anyone or anything. And that was the only place I found him actually investigating. He was like, this is cool, watch. And they would like knock back on the bars. And I was like, now you get it. He's like, yeah, but the rest of the places, nothing's happening.
A couple other things, and then I got some questions in here for you as well. But sage and drums. I know you mentioned sage earlier on, but I've seen people using sage and drums to kind of cleanse spirits and all. Does this stuff? I mean, I've never used any of that stuff whatsoever. Not going to say that stuff hasn't followed me home. I don't know if it did or not, but like I said, I'm so unsensitive that it could. I could have 10 of them sitting around me right now and be like, they're waving their hands at me, and I wouldn't have any idea. But does the sage and drums really do anything for somebody, or is it more once again that mind over matter situation?
I think it's more for the living. Like I said, there's multiple layers I see on the other side. So earthbound will be closer to like our physical plane, where they can move stuff easier. They can get through to us easier, where we'll hear them or we'll physically hear them walk in the house. And then you have ones that are on the other side. They carry a certain vibration where they're kind of risen above like that layer. So when you're using like drums, you're using sage, stuff like that, you're kind of raising, not only are you raising like your vibration, you're raising the vibration of your space. And that's actually why, like a lot of salt lamps, I do work with sage, because I can feel a difference where, my husband, he can't feel a difference. So before and after every reading, I like to go through using sage in my office, and I imagine like I'm opening a space. But I think there's a lot with mediumship and vibration levels and connecting to the other side. So I'll have, like I've worked with singing bowls. I used to not buy into it too or understand it till I worked with it. And then I was like, whoa, I was seeing things way more vivid. I could understand them easier. The communication was faster. So, and I don't always use them. The sage I do because I feel like that's me setting, that's part of my like process now. It helps me get in the headspace from going to thinking in the physical and analytical side and all my computer work, and going into like, I got to be like in a daydreaming like state. So I think it's just part of like helping me with my transition, as well as like letting them know, like, I'm getting ready to connect to them. But yeah, I do think there's something there with vibration. I don't feel like you're cleansing spirits out of the space, like to where they can't come back, other than at that time you're kind of setting that vibration throughout the space. So like if it's a lower level being or something like that, it's a vibration that they don't quite register with or can get there as easily, if that makes sense.
Yep. And but because I've seen like people using the sage and the drums to kind of cleanse themselves when they leave an organ or a location or something like that. And I just like, man, I'm not sure if it works or not, but it might, and so let me pop a couple in here.
Okay, hello. Do you think one must be chosen? Okay, so I don't feel like you have to be chosen. I've met lots of mediums. They're like, no, there's some that are naturally born. There's some that, at some point in their life, they were given this ability because, they were chosen or blessed by God, or, their ancestry. That's a big thing. Like, oh no, I get it because of only my family and ancestry. I feel like everybody has intuitive abilities. It's just to different degrees with sensitivity. My dad being military, my husband being military, I've grown up around, and law enforcement, big law enforcement military family. I've grown up around a lot of skeptics, or ones that didn't really have any experiences. My dad, he's had dreams before. He's a helicopter pilot in the military, and he had dreams before he crashed that they were going to survive. And that's pretty much his only connection that he would get, his only thing that he would have happen. And even that, he wouldn't talk about it too much. But I feel like we're all attuned to it. It's just if you would choose to explore it and learn how yours works, not what you see on TV, not what you want to happen, but stay open to it. And then just learn what ways you've had spirits get to you in the past, or had connections happen to you, and then growing those areas. So I feel like whether you're a believer or not, you have this. I feel like it's just called gut instinct or intuition. A lot of my family that, like I said, is more skeptical about spirits and hauntings and stuff like that. Them being military, them being, firefighter, law enforcement, they can all tell you stories they've had where they just had a gut feeling about something. They knew it was going to go like this and how to react before they even knew the full situation. And all of them can, tell you multiple stories they have, but yet turn right around and be like, oh, I don't believe in ghosts and spirits and all that. Well, I feel like their own intuition and how theirs works. It just comes through. Because if they were to carry like the whole emotional side of connecting into everything, it's a lot to process. And when you're, first responder, police officer, soldier, you can't work with that mindset. You would just mess yourself up. You have to be ready to react and just go in with an analytical mind. So their body has the reaction most of the time where they just feel it in their gut. They know to step here, move here, watch out for gunshots, or just feeling something's coming and getting ready.
This one's kind of lengthy, so I'll let you guys read it while I'm kind of giving my opinion. But when I read this earlier, the only thing I can think of, Mike, is that possibly a static electricity situation or something like that maybe is built up in your body when you were putting your hand over the K2 device or something like that. Is the other, that's the most logical explanation I could give you. Other than that, there could be an attachment type situation, but the logical side of me says maybe static, that you mentioned any devices like that on you. But other than that, I wouldn't have any idea. It sounds strange, especially when you said other people did the same thing. It wasn't changing for them.
Yeah. And this is where like I'm on the fence about certain things because of how it works energetically. Because I feel like when I connect to them, I'm more using my mind and vibration, but their energy isn't like placed on me. But again, there's still a lot to the paranormal we don't know, and that's why we explore it. But it could be if it was wintertime and even the shoes you're wearing could have built up more static than other people. You said you had no electronics on you, but phones make K2s go off, because I've had that happen. People will forget, they stick it in their hoodie pocket and they're like, look, it's only happening when it's near me, and it's their cell phone sending out signal. I don't know, but that one's, I guess I would have to be there and see what it could be, but my best bet would be it's something to do with your shoes and static electricity, because that will, affect that. And if other people are wearing different soled shoes, they might not be building up the static, but yeah, I don't know. That one's like one of those that's a bit hard and unique, but it could be, the spirit built up energy near you. Could have been one of your loved ones trying to get through to you to let you know that they're there with just you. There's multiple things that I've seen them do that you wouldn't expect.
You mentioned one thing there too, as far as that you had to be there. And that's so true with so many things. I get people send me photos and send me different stuff all the time. And I'm like, it's not a cop out, but it's like, I wasn't there. I don't know what what you were seeing or the orbs that you've caught. It's like, great, but I wasn't there. I'm not going to say,
Yeah.
what I think it could be because I don't have any idea.
Yeah. And I hate doing that. I do it to people too. And I can feel like where they get discouraged, like, oh, she's a medium, like she was supposed to be able to read this, but the energy might not be with the item at that time, like when they show me the photo or something like that, or I'm just not picking up on it. A lot of times I can, but it's still like, I know what it's like to have your opinion just thrown out or have your experience thrown out. So that's why I say always trust your gut and go with that. And I teach my students that because that experience was personalized to you. You can explain it to somebody that believes in the same thing, experiences the same thing, but it won't be as profound and as strong as what you felt, what you experienced. So it can be hard for us to look at certain things and be like, I'm pretty sure that's, light lens reflection or something like that. Had multiple weird electronic things, even with my own stuff. Like I'll have blurry pictures show up on my phone and all that, but I also know me and I'm scatterbrained and ADD. So I know I could leave my camera on. So I kind of throw that stuff out. But if there's something unique about that experience and you felt it and stuff, then yeah, you most likely had an experience encounter. But I always even with my mediumship, I like to debunk it.
This is pretty good too. It talks about, in fact, I was going to ask you a little bit about readings, but she popped this in there.
Okay, so do online readings. Yeah. So over the phone, a lot of times I'll have people pay for my Zoom readings, which are more expensive than my phone readings. And I do email readings occasionally, depending on my schedule, where I read cards and more show that. But my Zoom readings, I charge more because I dress up and I take it seriously and gotta do makeup, where if it's a phone reading, I can look like a bum, and focus in on the work. But I've had people that are like, I knew I had to pay for a Zoom reading because the connection wouldn't be as strong with the phone. But when you're connecting to a medium, it's more your loved ones coming in, connecting with them. So it doesn't really make a difference. In person, we'll be able to pick up on a lot more sometimes because we can more separate out what is your energy, like through the morning process, or like what your personality is like versus, your loved ones coming in. We can feel like a peace and calm and happiness and goofiness come from them, but you're in the middle of deep mourning and crying. So sometimes you can get more in person because of that. But really over the phone, I've had amazing readings, connections, almost every single missing person cold case that I've been a part of or helped solved or anything has been over the phone or through email, where they'll email me, hey, this is what's going on. Can you look in and see if you can get this, and this, and it works the same because it's energy. It's all energy. It's just, that's the only difference I've noticed with in person and why I'm able to get more or might be able to get more, but most of the time it doesn't make a difference. You don't need a Zoom call versus a phone call, and it doesn't need to be in person. I've had my readings go the same either way.
Yeah, Michelle mentioned something about her sister, and I'm sure that Hannah loves playing games with you, Michelle, because I know she's come through a few times out at Ashmore with people. So it wouldn't surprise me at all that Hannah wasn't finding things for you or hiding them from you as well.
I've had, this is a thing that they'll do sometimes. If you have something tied to that person or that loved one, sometimes they'll move it so to trust that. And that might be you going through your own, trying to learn your own intuition. They'll do that a lot, where they'll make a point that they're around and you'll know that it's from them, and have you connect to them. So, trying not to go into mediumship mode because but yeah, I definitely think that's what was going on here. If you haven't already, maybe look into exploring your gifts, because I think you have a pretty strong connection to the other side.
When you're doing readings, I mean, let me back up then. When somebody's having a reading done, not necessarily by yourself, but by somebody else, is there a procedure that you would tell somebody that to stay away from, so that you're not, that you're getting an actual reading, that you're not just basically feeding this person that claims to be a psychic or a medium, that is
Mhm.
you're reading yourself.
Great. Yeah, great point. Yes, definitely. So I always tell people you can tell me yes, no, or I don't know. If you go into getting on the phone with that person and you're like, I had my sister died in a car accident, and we're not quite sure if it was her head injury or like she ended up bleeding out from wounds, and you give them all this information, it actually makes real mediums work harder, because then when they're getting in stuff from the other side, like it could have been a stroke that caused them to drive into a tree or something like that, and then it was overlooked depending on if an autopsy was done. Sometimes there's a lot more pieces to a story that the medium will sit there and fight with. And then if you give too much away, it makes it harder for you to, one, trust the messages that come through, and what you're expecting to hear or you're expecting them to say won't be what your loved ones are gonna say. So I feel like the less mediums know, the better it is. It makes my job a lot easier, especially missing person cases, cold cases. I never research them. I never look them up, because if I did, I would fight what's out there in the public. I would fight what the family thinks, and it just gets too messy. So to have something that you'll be able to think back on and know there's no way the medium could have known that. Know that there's, we don't have time to sit there and dig through Facebook, but there's still people out there who feel that way. But I feel like your reading is going to be more successful if you say, very minimal details, yes, no, and then at the end you can talk about. Then at the end, be like, I'm still confused on this, or I think that this makes sense. Now, the medium might need a direction if you're wanting to talk to your sister, but the medium's getting your grandma, your grandpa, your aunt. A lot of times they'll all come in and visit, and the medium's going to pick up on the biggest personality most of the time, or the strongest energy. But if you're wanting them, the whole reason you got the appointment is to connect to your sister, then you can say, can you focus your energy on this person? And you can say just their first name, or you can say, my sister. And then that helps the medium like kind of sort out the other personalities and direct it that way. But that would be my best advice for getting a good reading that's going to help you. Don't give all the details, because there are people out there that will feed it. That's what they're looking for. They're looking for any sign, prompt,
You started that. In fact, I know that there's a few people sitting here that are watching right now that they're probably close to being in tears from when you first started talking about this whole thing, because you talked about a girl in a car accident, and also, but yeah, because it kind of hit home with a few people, I'm sure, that were here. So
okay, yeah,
I'll just kind of leave it there.
And there was someone with pink hair. I kept seeing pink hair, so I don't know if somebody dyed pink in their hair, like
you're getting it deeper. So.
Yeah, that's why when she starts showing me pink hair, it's like, okay, I'm really trying not going to mediumship, because that's like a whole different mindset. But yeah, I definitely think she's near you.
So yeah, but those people out there in the chat they know what I'm talking about. So and but just Lindsay kind of mentioned the same thing as you kind of finished up with her too, just yes and no answers till she's finished.
Yeah, I think it kind of shows too, like how even interjectly I was even trying not to use my mediumship and connect in, but just her question and getting in her energy, like just brought her sister on in,
And yeah, but yeah, I'm not sure if Michelle's still in or not, but if she is, she's probably, kind of in pieces right now. So, and I know Ashley's about, she just sent a message through, so I'm sure that she knows what I'm talking about, and Mike probably does as well.
Yeah.
And but yeah, so that was just kind of cool that you mentioned that, and the pink hair and all too. So
yeah,
but
you can thank her. She just kind of, that's funny how she folded into my examples. See, that's just something they kind of do.
But yeah, we're going to kind of wrap it up here. Mike, you got some other questions for Jessica, or?
Mine, like, with everything that's gone on this hour, like with everything, pretty much everything's been answered.
Yay.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
her
didn't have
hair was
very
pink.
many.
She loved her pink hair. Okay. Try not to go too into mediumship stuff. You can message me on my profile, but there's something about like doing a streak of pink in yours and hiding it. I'm not sure if it's because your job or something like that, but she wants you to do that. Just like feel a little bit.
I've never put pink in my hair yet. So.
You can hide it little strand, just and tuck it under the hat.
So yeah, I'd have to. There's not much up here to hide, so. But
well, just like do it, like brush it up in there, like just. Like, why is his hair always tucked up in the hat? They try and fix it, and you smack their hand away.
No, that's sorry, Heather. I don't think so. Although, for the right price, it could happen. I suppose, for the right donation or something like that could happen. But we really appreciate you coming on tonight and answering some questions, kind of clearing some things up, and
yeah, thanks.
And doing some things differently with that. So it's been great. And
yeah, definitely.
The one, in fact, if you could do this like in 60 seconds, not that we have the time, but I don't want to tie you up tonight. One thing that just came up in a chat the other day that I was involved in, or just listened to, I didn't answer it, didn't respond at all, is channeling. Mm-hmm. Is that done by a lot of mediums, and is it pretty effective?
Yeah, I'm a channeler. I get it with writing. And I do know some people that can do it with their voice, which is really trippy to watch. Some people that I trust and I've watched like this one female, there's actually a really well-known one in the UK who will have a man's voice be channeled in. And the stuff she says is just like spot on accurate. Elaine, I cannot think of her last name right now, but yeah, it's a real thing. It's something I do often. That's why I like to sit down for every appointment 10 minutes before, start getting in the person's energy, and I just write things down that come into me. And then they even use it with my teaching. When I'm teaching classes, I don't know how, I'll have the information just kind of drop into me. So I think a lot of mediums are a channel. Some more pick up on physical things, like my sister has more physical experiences, where I've always just gotten lost in daydreaming and writing and things like that.
So how's a good way for people to get a hold of you?
All right. You can go to my website, The Mermaid Medium, or Star Love Clarity. You got a little comma. How my voice keeps trying to go out today. StarLoveClarity.com, or easy one to remember, The Mermaid Medium. Jessica Potter, Intuitive Medium, on Facebook for my profile and my page. If you want to add me as a friend, a lot of times I'll share my events and what I have coming up in my post, as well as some goofy TikTok stuff and stories. Yeah, so that's a best way to get a hold of me if you want to book your own appointment. I have it all set up where to be to your time zone, and message me if you have more questions. Now, I will say on my business page, for whatever reason, it does not notify me like it does with my profile. So that's why I more have people message me through my profile, because my business page, I have to remember to go check my messages there.
So, yep. And Michelle just kind of set that through to you. So, but no, we really appreciate you being on tonight and sharing some stories with us, sharing some things with us. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun. So, and, but yeah, we have to get you back out to Ashmore sometime and do some stuff out there. Maybe up to Rhodes, do some gallery stuff or something up at Rhodes at some point.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
My goals for next year.
So, Jessica, thanks much for coming and joining us tonight. Have a good evening, and hopefully we'll see you again sometime here at another event sometime soon.
All right. Thanks.
All right.
Thanks.
Bye, guys.
Good night.
Bye. That was interesting.
Yeah, that was great.
Cool.
Yeah, she kind of was agreed with some of the stuff, then at the same time gave us some insight. It kind of made me think about some things as well. So
yeah,
it's kind of fun. And
yeah.
So, but next week we got a buddy of yours coming on next week.
Jeff Belanger, yes. Next week is going to be interesting with Jeff. Anybody that knows him will know like what we're talking about when we say next week's going to be interesting.
Some people may not know Jeff a lot, so just do a 30-second background on Jeff.
Yeah, well, he was doing the writing and stuff for Ghost Adventures, and like a a lot of people that know Jeff. On top of that, like a few years ago, he actually climbed Mount Kilimanjaro. So that will be kind of cool to talk to him about some of that stuff, because as you remember, I did
Right.
the climb, with Mount Washington and stuff. But it'll be interesting to talk to Jeff, because he is he's got a lot of knowledge, but he's also on the funny side too. So it's going to be funny. I'm sure there's going to be like some craziness going on, but yeah, it'll be good to have him on. So
Yeah, it sounds good. So, okay. Well, until next week, then we'll kind of let everybody go. And thanks for joining us tonight. Hopefully we were able to answer some of your questions. Check out Jessica's page and fire away any other questions you might have for her.
Yep. And we'll talk to you guys next week.
Night, everybody.
Night.
My name is Mike, and I'm the founder of the Lost Limbs Foundation. The Lost Limbs Foundation is a 501c3 nonprofit organization that provides assistance to amputee children in need of prosthetics. I started the charity after my own struggles after my leg being amputated just above the knee. Prosthetics cost thousands of dollars, and the average lifespan is 5 to 7 years on a prosthetic. Kids are constantly growing, so they'll go through multiple prosthetics throughout their life. This is the prosthetic leg that I use, and the cost was about $70,000. The Rhodes Hotel is in Atlanta, Indiana, and is owned and operated by the Lost Limbs Foundation. We are currently doing photo shoots, ghost hunts, and special events to help raise money for the charity. For more information, you can go to lostlimbsfoundation.org. With your help, we can help these kids one step at a time.